Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Do. That's that guy. Andrew Conspiracy. We have myself, Mr. Andrew, and my lovely co-host, Mr. Do. And we're here to conspire with you and us both. Yes, sir. And we're going to start that in the usual fashion today. I thought we'd really focus on our holds today. So we're going to take deep breaths in and then just hold at the top as long as you feel comfortable. And then exhale and hold at the bottom. And we'll probably just do 2 rounds of that because a good hold is like feeling into the void space, right? The in-between. And sometimes the in-between is where the information really is. The silence, the spaces between the words and the thoughts can be equally potent. So that's yes,
Point
sir.
at the top and the bottom of the curve of the
Yeah,
frequency
yeah,
vibration curve.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So if you can settle in, get any wiggles out, get loose, get relaxed. And if you can close down the eyes, if you're able. Oh, yeah, I like the duck, yeah. And we'll take a deep breath into the nose. Hold at the top. And release. And if you release with some noise, that can also be very freeing. And then hold at the bottom. And then a deep breath into the nose. Hold the top. And out. Hold at the bottom. Yeah, it's good to feel that kind of emptiness and almost that negative pressure. I like that. All right, Mr. Do, we're here. We're doing it. We're recording.
Love and exhale with surrender.
Yeah. It's always a good thing, for sure. Do you have some poetry you're wanting to share
I
with us?
do, but today we're going because this is the Christmas tree, and even though the I Ching is a Chinese oracle book from 3,000 years ago, I thought I would just start today with a random opening. So for those of you who don't know, the I Ching is like one of the oldest books in the world. It means Book of Changes, and basically it was like created by looking at turtle shells for prophecy about 3,500 years ago in China. So basically what you do is you throw 3 coins 6 times and you build what's called a hexagram. And a hexagram is 6 lines, and so I won't go into the details of it. Basically you build 2 hexagrams with changing lines if you have like 3 heads or 3 tails. So basically, this is like what the I Ching is, but I'm just going to like sort of cheat today and just open it to a random prophecy. But let's see what we have. It says, the man walks straight into the stream and keeps right on going until he finally disappears beneath the water. Ominous, but no blame. Blindly you have walked right into disaster. You could have avoided it, but your mind was on other things. Stand up to it as best you can, although I think this is not a very good Christmas message. So we'll we'll try this one. This is
We should have tossed some coins before we hit record and really,
right,
got into
but
got into.
so, okay, this is a good one. This is about friendship or lovers. It's the Kama section. There's 3 sections: Artha, which is day-to-day life; Kama, which is romance or friendship; and then Moksha, which is spiritual. So this is the Kama section. of number 13 society. And as I say, you get the numbers by building the hexagrams. So, because this is a good one. This is basically describing me in Emperor's Rose. You and friends see your relationship as an archetypal one. If you are lovers, you see yourself as a man and a woman. If related as the mother and the daughter, the brothers, etc., or as the teacher and the student, or as companions, as mind and body, etc. Your relationship is not simply one between two individuals. You feel a natural bond to the idea of your type of relationship, with its set rules for each member and the traditional areas of conflict as it has manifested itself in culture. You may be interested in the works of C.G. Young. This way of being together makes strong and lasting bonds between yourself and friend. You understand each other perfectly. Although somewhat didactic, neither of you is selfish or dishonest. You each feel a sense of historical responsibility to fulfill your roles to each other in a way worthy of your archetypal counterparts. So that's pretty positive. So basically, talking about like an archetypal love relationship, you know. So that was pretty positive. And with that in mind, I'm going to try to find a positive poem for 2014.
Okay. All
Let
right.
me try this. Uh, Let me see. I want to do that one. Um, Let me. Why do we question destiny? I just picked this randomly, but I don't truly believe in happily ever after. But I believe in you, but I believe in you, and I believe in myself, and I believe in us, not necessarily as a romantic couple, but rather as a spiritual team fighting together the evils of degeneracy, addiction, and drunken excess from which we both are trying to escape with weapons of love, grace, patience, laughter, and redemption. Even as we maintain a respectful distance from one another, though we realize the potential for passion that exists in our interactions, full of devotion and longing for an ideally unique consummation that might never happen, despite the attractions we always feel in common presence, while we pass the years in an amorous oblivion, frequent, preventing our lips from ever touching an ardent kiss, leading to an extraordinary union few humans can conceive, lost in the pursuit of ephemeral passion rather than in the search for absolute love, which is the only truly divine goal to be experienced in the midst of the insanity of this crazy planet.
Yeah. Well, trying to get caught into the insanity, that's for sure. But it does happen from time to time.
And love will drive you insane if you let it.
For sure. It's a powerful force.
Actually, I think that was for Queen Muse BFF, who I'm no longer in touch with. But yeah, we went our separate ways, and got no. And she is BFF, so I don't know when she's going to show up in the future, but I'm sure she will sometime. But I'm going to have to say no to her, no matter what she wants.
Yeah. Well, it is interesting. I mean, the question is, did you learn the karmic lesson that her
I
archetype was teaching you?
I learned it was a very difficult lesson to absorb, but it took me a long time to get it, but I did get it. And when she called me psychotic after 18 years, that was sort of like the signal.
Yeah. So to me, when we've learned a lesson from one octave of existence, it sort of dissolves that polarity, and then it might come back at a new and once we reach a new level, a new version of that archetype to teach us something, a new layer of that lesson.
Right.
But once you've dissolved the polarity from your current perspective, then that that lesson is it's integrated into who you are. So it doesn't you don't need to have it reflected in your external reality.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, every time you learn a lesson, you ascend to a higher vibration.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
And at that higher vibration, you can say no to the things that tempted you in the past.
Right. It's an you have the awareness to choose differently when you encounter something similar.
Right.
And yeah, I think, I was just talking about that with Jami, and, how that cycle just sort of repeats and, allows us to learn the lessons we signed up to learn.
Well, I mean, that's the thing, I mean, they say until you learn the lesson, you're just going to be repeating the same pattern with another face.
Exactly. Yep. It'll show up. It'll be in a new form. But yeah, when you tune into the energy of like the human, then you can start, oh, okay. I see the archetype. I see how this person represents maybe other people I've experienced, or, that kind of thing. And then it becomes kind of like, I see
Right.
you. I see what you're doing there. Like you become more aware of these patterns as opposed to everything just being random and, that sort of thing.
Well,
So,
I think on the spiritual path, basically you always come back to like some sort of like basic dot, or I call it a dot or a loop. And I think in a lot of ways, for at least in Western culture, Christ has always been the loop that people come back to like orient themselves. And with me, it was always God, after I figured out I was God. And so, but basically, what I've been thinking is that, you know, all the, the Christ, and I meant Christ and a God, and whatever, whether you want to call it the next level Dewey or whatever you want to call it, but whatever the next level is, it's always like a self-contained bubble that's going to limit you. And the more you get caught up in the idea of worship of a person or an idea such as Jesus or God, the more you're going to be further away from true realization and gnosis of that God.
okay, I can get on board with that. Yeah, I agree. I think that worship paradigm is a program, right? And it keeps you seeking and externalizing and not tapping into like the truth of who you are, the truth of reality emanating from your
Right.
consciousness. Yeah.
Well, I was thinking about this in regard to what you're doing with the way of the heart and everything. And it's just like, I was thinking back about what I listened to, and it's very true what is said in that, but it's also like a reinforce. I mean, and I don't mean to put it down or anything. This is just like what I'm feeling is that it reinforces the sadomasochistic blood sacrifice worship of everything in the last 5,000 years, which is what we're trying to get rid of. And yeah, I mean,
I don't know where you're getting you was I what? What are you talking about?
I'm
How
talking
does it,
about religion. I'm talking about how religion has
oh.
basically taken the idea of Jesus and basically turned it into a sadomasochistic parable about how suffering will lead to eternal life. But
Hmm.
instead, what I'm saying is rather than focusing on the torment and the torture that Jesus went through, which is basically where the church seems to be focused in the crucifixion and the resurrection. I mean, that's really where they get their whole value is in the resurrection, because because they have the only God who ever rose, and therefore they have proof that he was the true God and everything. But what I'm saying is the whole narrative of Jesus is like, I mean, you have to realize that the Christian church, after 3,000, whenever the Council of Nicaea was, and they put together the Bible, the religion became a source of control over the people, and that's what, and it's been, and control is done most effectively through fear. So basically, for the last 2,000 years, we've been hearing a fearful story of Jesus rather than the hope and the joy and the light of Jesus. And that's really what I'm talking about. I'm not saying that Jesus is a sadomasochistic story, but I meant the way that the religion and the church has like sort of like conditioned us to think of it in terms of suffering is the only thing that gets you to heaven, which is totally wrong.
Agreed. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think we've told that story once or twice or three times. It's, to me, it's a weird death cult, and everything good happens after you die, and that doesn't make any, or bad, right? But it doesn't make any fucking sense. We're here to live in this incarnation, in this reality, in this life. And yeah, when you say, oh no, nothing happens until after we die, then it just becomes this quest to like get to death, get to the finish
Yeah.
line, with Jesus on your side. It's like,
Right.
well, yeah, but what about living with Jesus now? What about
And
incarnating
then
the
he's going to
frequency
come back
now?
and bring you back anyway. Well,
Right. Yeah.
at the resurrection, So I mean,
No,
this is one thing I never figured out about Jesus is you know why didn't he just after his resurrection, why didn't he just stay and rule?
because he didn't. He was actually. I think he was actually done with this plane of existence.
Probably, yeah.
This plane of existence is a learning device. That's how the way of the heart describes it. And you can put down the toy whenever you decide you're done playing with it. Okay. And so we're here to play with the toy, but I don't know. It doesn't feel like something that needs to loop infinitely. You can you can level up and level out, right? And then have a different experience potentially. Uh, but yeah, it's a school to learn from. That's what human is, in my opinion.
So
And
that
Jesus
brings
just
us
happened to
to our
be,
next subject.
well, like the theory is Jesus, in the way of the heart, they describe it as more like, hey, I actually wanted to play with my fear of death. I wanted to show that it can be overcome. I wanted to demonstrate that
Okay.
through this. So like instead, there's more than one story you can tell about this event, right? That happened allegedly, and the one is like the torture porn version that suffering saves you, and then the other is like, oh, this human actually was fearless and faced death head on and overcame it, and that's something we can all do.
Right.
So
Only he can come back bodily, though.
I don't know, that's true.
Well, oh well. So far, he's the only one who came back bodily.
So far.
Yeah. But uh, but that brings up our next question. Would you bring up toys in school? So yeah, it's our Christmas celebration, Andrew, and we're going to start handing out presents. And first off, because you're the most present, and you're the honor student for the year, we're going to give you the first present, which is your own spaceship. You proved that you are able to navigate the Dialena, and therefore now as you go out to build your empire, you don't have to be like tied to the hip to the Dialena. You now have the BAM 1, Betamax 1. So that's the name of your spaceship, and it's coming in immediately, and you can start flying it tonight. But and you can park it next to your Lotus. So but
That's a good one.
that's my Lord dear God present to you, command through Christ, and I hope you enjoy it and you get like lots of time out of it, and this way you can go build your empire while I look after mine, and we don't have to have conflict because this is something that I've been dealing with in the last few days. It's just like I don't know whether it's jealousy or something else, but basically, I realize that I gotta like set you free, and you gotta like live your life, and I don't, I just want you to have your own spaceship so you can go on your own and have a great time.
Thanks, Dale. I appreciate that gift. No, I've been feeling what you're expressing over the last few days, and I think it comes from a sense of lack, right? And like a fear of losing something that's valuable. But none of that's real. Um, it's a old thought pattern that's coming back to like
Right.
say, hey, this is the experience we've had in the past. It might happen again, but it won't happen again. That's not how this works. Relationships can evolve and change, and allowing the space for them to do that is what makes sure that they're real and true and are healthy. And then clinging to them tightly squishes the life out of them. you know
But
and so it's like learning to hold things like in an open palm, and then when they stay, it's real, and you don't have to like have this like doubt looping or whatever it is.
well,
uh,
I think I've been like thinking about this for like the last 2 or 3 days, and it goes deeper than that. It like goes into like my own insecurity about like being I meant being in control, but also sort of like just I don't know how to, but basically realizing that I can't. The more I try to control things, the less I do. So basically, rather than like trying to cling on to you, and yeah, I mean, which is absurd anyway, because I'm not a clinger, but I'm not clinger. Uh, from Hogan's Heroes, Klinger, the commandant of the prison camp. I'm not Klinger, so I just decided it'd be a lot easier to give you your own spaceship than basically give you second fiddle on mine.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Let's pause, and you can turn on your light. It's getting pretty dark in there.
Okay, it's okay. Well,
I think that's going to help a little bit.
is that better? Yeah, the
Yeah.
sun's right in my eyes, so.
Oh, I see. All right. Well, we can pick up then. But yes, I think that I really do appreciate that, Dale. You know, it's this relationship is valuable to me, and I've learned so much from it. And so, but there are new energies coming in at the same time. And last night was an example of that. We hosted this event here in Austin, Texas,
Right.
and there was some. It was a relatively intimate event. I think there was 10 of us or so, but the people who came were already like on the wave, right? The Christ consciousness wave.
Right.
And so every connection that was made just felt super deep and powerful. Like there are tools in the toolkit that are starting to be assembled that we get to use. Like, oh, I know this person now, and they're really talented at this. Uh, you should talk to them, right? Or hey, we're hosting an event, but we have this awesome chef who we know is good and is on the path. We're gonna use him or refer, right? So like really great networking, and then just to be in the presence and experience like their universe was so powerful. Like I was just like absorbing it all. It felt like just to feel what that frequency is and to tap into it more deeply as often as I remember. And that's part of what we've been doing too, right? Is tapping into that frequency and using it to guide us in how we relate to each other and to the world. And so it was very exciting, and I witnessed some really powerful moments, some breakthroughs for sure, and then we got to smoke a little of my cannabis,
Right.
and I tapped into some people specifically on that frequency, and I love that. That's one of my favorites. I shared some jade with the crew, and they all knew jade, so kicks it up an extra notch, and so it feels like the beginning of a really beautiful journey out in the world, and that's
Right.
where I'm meant to live, right?
Well,
Like,
that's exactly what I was thinking about, and that's really like the deeper thing, the deeper layers that I was thinking about is I don't want to stand in your way, Andrew. I mean, just because, you know, you got me, and then you got Dormic Low, and to me, uh, if you're going to succeed at one, you need to really focus on that one, and therefore, that's why it's sort of like I don't know, maybe we'll talk about this off camera, but basically, I was just thinking, I don't want to like I don't want to have you distracted from us by what you're doing with Dijon and vice versa. I don't want to distract you from the mission you got with Dijon. So that's really like where my concern is coming from, because I don't want you to split your energy to the detriment of everything.
yeah, that's a valid thing to bring up. I don't know. I don't feel like that's what I'm doing. I feel like there's a lot of the podcasting that is useful. It translates over to what I'm doing with Dharma Glow. So I feel like these 41 episodes we've done together have taught me a lot. Just about using the voice more and communicating certain ideas, and refining my own process of what I'm saying, because you're offering your reflection of how you're receiving it, right? And so to me, there's I think there's an opportunity to integrate in a way that doesn't create distraction. It actually creates greater alignment. And even like a little brainstorming session we were having last night, because I was describing the podcast to the chef and Dijon, and then we started like breaking it down, like how can we like make it so it's a few words that really actually capture some of the depth of what it is without telling a whole
Right.
story about it. And that's where we came up with the schizophrenic poet and the Christ consciousness cannabis cultivator.
Okay.
And I thought that was that came through a collaboration with these people that are in the Dharma Glow world, right? And it's something that I think is a very clarifying idea, and it puts puts words together that people wouldn't normally associate, right?
Right.
Schizophrenic poet might not be two words people put together, and then Christ consciousness and cannabis cultivation
Right.
might be ideas people don't put together, but we're
Right.
doing it. We're putting them together, and I think that's a unique formula. So I drew a lot of excitement from the ability to receive that reflection from someone with a very neutral perspective who've never seen the show, right?
Right.
And then bring it to you and say, hey, what do you think about this, brother? Like that's
Right.
kind of a cool idea, right? And so, and it communicates something to other people beyond just do and Drew conspiracy, right? It
Right.
kind of it, it gets to the essence of it in the shortest amount of words that we could come up with.
Yeah, the only thing is, I'm trying to get beyond schizophrenic. So,
I know, but but it communicates something. It doesn't have to define you, but it gives people like a backstory of how we got here.
Right.
And it's something they can resonate with. They can link it up in their reality and then add like context to their experience. That's how I feel anyway.
Right.
And, Christ consciousness is the center of it. And then cannabis cultivation, that's
Right.
only one aspect of me too. It's not my whole definition, but
Right.
it gives a clue about what it is, right? Because we do talk about THC and cannabis and
Right.
stuff like that. So anyway, I don't know. It's really interesting to be in, because that's what Dharma Glow is about. It's about conscious creation.
Right.
And that's what we're doing here, is creating consciously as well. We're creating something that we believe will penetrate, the psyches of those who are open to receiving this type of information and spread the conspiracy
Right.
to that next layer of humanity. And so I don't know. We'll see how it continues to play out. But we're doing the dance, and so far I'm liking dancing with multiple partners.
I had like I was pondering for a while about all this and everything, and I had like a, I had like a complete change of mind about 30 minutes before we came on and said, fuck it, I'm not going to like complain or worry or anything. I'm going to give him his own spaceship. Let him go off with that, let him have his fun. It's like dad giving his son a car, so
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think that's huge, brother. Like, really, truly, that's like real time processing the emotions you're feeling, right? And then realizing the only true thing is love. And then what's the most loving thing I can do in this moment? And it's to give Andrew a spaceship, obviously. So to me, that's the loop. You did it, right? You went through a period of like I don't know what this is, and I'm uncomfortable, and I feel a certain way, like, but then you move through it and come to the other side and realize that is ultimately what is true, and everything else is just bullshit.
right.
So I'm proud of you. I'm proud of us, and we're going to continue to navigate however it makes the most sense. But it's a relationship, and the best relationships have the deepest level of intimacy and communication, honesty,
Right.
right? Because you can express whatever you need to express and know it's going to be received. You can trust that it's going to be received the way it's intended. And so it's a great exercise to do that, to actually live it and move through it, and face a little bit of adversity, and you know navigate it through the Christ consciousness lens, the lens of like the creator, and then come out the other side and realize, okay, I did it in this one instance, now I can do it whenever it comes up again,
Right.
right? And
It's going to be quick. The process is going to be quicker the next time.
exactly. Yeah, and then you get to the point of like real-time processing. I'm not quite there either. Like, I'm still usually I take a while to kind of sit through things, and also I like to view them from multiple points of time.
Right.
So like, I might be feeling grumpy in the morning, but by the evening I'll have a different perspective on it, because my whole, like, yeah, I lived 3 days yesterday, brother. Like, legit, 3 days, 3 distinct days.
Okay, well, where are they?
Well, the morning Dale was like a feeling of like disconnection and isolation and wanting to almost like hide a little bit. Willow was puking everywhere and making a mess. She puked on the couch and it was stinky. And like, people were like, why is the couch stinky? And I was trying to hide it. Like, I cleaned it up, but obviously I can't even smell it like they can, right? And then, this thing with my sister, wanting to reconnect with her over the holidays and not receiving the invitation to stay, but receiving an invitation to meet for dinner, right? And I was a little disappointed with that and kind of moving through that. And then I brought that to the community. I just said what was true. Like, I'm feeling kind of somber. And they're like, oh, tell us about it. And then I did. And then I felt so supported and loved by them. and so it taught me like another layer of being able to receive. You know, I can hold space. I hold space for people all the time, but to be held and receive that was also a powerful lesson.
Right.
And to feel the power of community, the resiliency that can come from engaging with people who get it, right? And to build out that network so that one node isn't all you're relying on, right? You have, I mean, look at you. You have multiple nodes too. You have all these other people that we've kind of started to bring into our collection of people, and John and Kat and David, right? Like they're such cool people. And so to me, we're building out the nodes in the network so that one node is never the one, right? And that allows a certain amount of like holding things with that open hand, because we don't need to cling to anything because we're in abundance, right?
Right.
An abundance, emphasis on the dance,
Right. Right.
and dancing with optionality, right? Creates this freedom to be like, oh, well, this relationship is dope, but there's this part of it I'm not super stoked on. So I'm going to express that. And I'm not going to fear losing the relationship because I'm abundant as fuck, right?
Right.
And that fear was never real to begin with, but it gives you permission to like let go of it because you don't feel that sense of contraction and lack.
Well, yeah, it's interesting you should say that because when this first hit, it was like processing negative thoughts and all sorts of negative thoughts and everything, and it's like sort of like going through scenarios, and I say, well, maybe we should stop doing podcasts, and I should like just let him go and like do his thing, and I'll do a podcast on my own, and sort of, and but then just processing, 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 and then we come to a dialenic conclusion. Give him a spaceship.
Yeah, bro. So I hope our audience feels this, because this is like real shit. This is like how this is how, when you build your life with the foundation of creator consciousness, it transforms how you move through it, right? And it doesn't mean you're not going to hit a sticky situation or feel a certain kind of way. Like, that's going to still happen, but you're going to encounter, like you said, you're going to encounter it differently. And the more you can loop that and feel the truth of it, it's just like it gets easier and easier. And then like Yeshua talks about how like he could just, before every breath, he would like feel that creator within him, and so it became literally just a part of who he was. And I think that's the mastery, right? When it is just who you are, and you hit the sticky situation, then you forget for a little bit, and then you remember.
Right.
And the quicker you can get to that remember, it's like,
It's
it's not to bypass it. You feel it, right? You want to feel the feeling deeply, because that's what allows it to come up and sort of be released. So it's not about bypassing it or skipping over it. It's about feeling it, acknowledging it, and then deciding what to do with it.
was it what you're saying is that what is always talking about in separation, just like sort of like going to that center point of yourself, which is actually the center point of the entire omniverse.
Yeah, yeah. The center point is huge, right? Because that's truth. That's your essence. That's who you are. And if you're operating from that, you're going to express what is true, and you're going to receive what is true. And if you're putting on the mask, or you're trying to hide things like I was, well, especially in a community like this, it's just like they're going to look at you like you're ridiculous. Like, what are you doing? You think you're hiding something? Like, that's not even possible, bro. Like, we know each other. Like, what do you think you're doing?
Right.
And it does become a little bit absurd after a while. It's like, oh, but there is, I think a lot of people do have this idea that the thoughts in their head just stay in their head, and like they're their little secret.
Right.
But no, sorry guys, I hate to break it to you. That's not how this fucking works. It's literally a broadcast to the world, and anyone who tuned into that frequency is gonna pick it up.
Right. Exactly. So, do you have any Christmas present you want to give Andrew? I was thinking about Zayla Cece and Empress Rose, but I think I'll take that up with them themselves. But any any ideas for a Christmas present?
Well, in my opinion, the best present is presents. And
Oh, very fancy.
I think I give that pretty freely. You know, when I'm doing something, I'm doing it. So yeah, I don't know if I can give presents to everyone. So there might be some other presents that I'll have to like get creative with. Um, but I've also like I think rethinking what gifts are, right? Like rethinking what it means to give. And yeah, you can give physical items, obviously. You gave me a spaceship. That's a pretty cool physical item. But when I'm receiving, like when someone's willing to just go there, they were last night, and be present, that's such a gift. It because you're receiving like their core frequency, and you get to like decide what parts of that you want to integrate into your universe, or what parts they can keep, and refine your whole experience. And like to me, that's fucking sweet, right? Like uh, so I don't. That's really what I love the most about anything. So if someone's willing to be super present with me, that's a gift, and I'm willing to be super present with you. And if you perceive that as a gift, great. And if not, well, that's fine also. But it's the best stuff. It's the best medicine. It's the best energy. It makes you feel connected and love and alive, and all the good things that are true. So I don't know. That's me.
And what,
That's the gift.
talking about president, this just like randomly came into my head, but apparently Bill Clinton has like one of the most charismatic presences of anybody in history. I mean, apparently people get in his presence and they're just like, you know. So, but I agree. Presidents really is a great president, and but I also just wanted to say I wanted to declare my love for Rose, Carolyn Shawn today, the Velvet Empress, and I just want to like make a Christmas declaration that she is my forever, and any women interested in me romantically or sexually, I'm sorry, but I'm taken, and she is my beloved betrothed, and we will meet before July 4th.
Indeed.
And
Okay.
I'm going to like close this one off with a poem that I wrote. It's called "Taking Strolls Through Eternity." Through eternity, hand in hand. I do not know. I am oblivious to the thorns of my rose.
Okay. That's the poem.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. You. That's been a theme popping up for you. Like oblivious to the pain of your trauma, oblivious to the thorns. Uh, Yeah, that's one option, brother. I don't know. I think there's other options. That's my opinion. I
Well,
think it's important to be.
well, listen, the difference with me is I was always explaining my trauma as I was going through it. That's the revelation that I just had, but that's true. I was always explaining my trauma as I was going through it,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
instead of like
Yeah.
looking back at it and like having it in my subconscious. I was like, dealing with it as it was coming up because I was in a constantly traumatic situation.
Yeah. 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 I'm gonna have to sit with that, see how I feel about that. But to me, to be present with another person is to experience all of who they are, and vice versa. And you know that takes time and communication and repetition and all that. generally, but it also can happen pretty quickly once you've really tuned in. So to me, it's like I'm meeting these different versions, these different archetypes, these different reflections of me, and getting to like identify the parts that I'm like super stoked on and the parts that I'm like, that feels like a huge thorn, bro. And so, and do I want, and then being really conscious of who I'm forming energetic bonds with, because because it doesn't feel good to separate generally. And so I'm consciously entering relationships knowing, accepting the person as they are, and without like some need to change them, I guess is the point. And if I'm entering it with this need to change, then we're already on the wrong foot. um, you know, and that was definitely a pattern of my past. It's like this idea, oh, well, they have this potential, and when they're in my presence, it'll be, I'll fix them.
Right.
And that seems like a recipe for frustration, and confusion.
Well,
So that's my new thing on relationships. Just what is it? Do I like it? And if I don't, maybe I'm not gonna like really attach like that. I'm gonna hold it real loose and allow. Because what I've found is when you release the energy of someone who you don't prefer, it opens up space for someone you do prefer
right.
to come in. So I'm creating energetic space for that with an intention that, yeah, I do desire, romantic love and those types of relationships, but that you can experience so many facets of love outside of those relationships too,
Right.
and not losing sight of that.
Absolutely. And that's very important to understand is that you know every relationship, especially, well, obviously between sexes, doesn't have to be sexual. And maybe I've always like been very good at becoming friends with women rather than just like being a lover or something. And so, but I think that's reflective of having six sisters and just being comfortable with women just because my mother was such a strong woman.
Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That sounds right. That sounds right. That sounds right.
Oh, and I don't know if I mentioned this to you, but I also came up with this idea that I've been traumatized by too much love. My problem was never abuse or anything. It was always I'm just like surrounded by like this womb, this shell of love, and people say, "How can you have too much love?" Well, how can you have psychotic bliss? It's the same thing. I mean, bliss is like supposed to be bliss, and it's like love is supposed to be love, and there's no such thing as too much of it. But that's where people underestimate the power and the intensity that love can produce. And
Hmm.
they think that you can only have intensity through being beat or sexual harassment or sexual, whatever. But, to me, I never doubted my parents' love. And my parents did everything for me. But it was, and I produced for them. I went to the best boarding school in America. I went to Dartmouth Ivy League, and basically, but people say I'm crazy. I might be. That's part of my diagnosis. But people say I'm crazy when I say there's such a thing as being brought up in an environment of too much love. But, I think with any spectrum, it can be a tip in the wrong direction.
Okay. Interesting. All right. Well, I mean, it's your perspective for sure. I can't say that I have experienced that, but every experience is valid. And too much. What does too much love feel like to you?
Well, I wrote a paper in high school about it, and my mother saw it, and she got very pissed off at me. I called her love fatuous, which
Mm.
is complacent and sort of like blindly fawning.
Yeah, to me, that's just a distortion of what love is. It's love coming from like a weird place. That's my opinion,
Right.
or their version of love that hasn't been sort of refined through the Christ consciousness frequency. How about that?
Right.
And so it just has these other layers that aren't true or something like that.
Well, oh no, it's just the way my mother was. Uh, yeah,
Yeah.
she married like first she married the most eligible bachelor at the University of Oklahoma. Then she married the most eligible bachelor in Texas, and then she married the most eligible bachelor in the United States, Lawrence Walsh, who, if Nixon had won in '60, would have been Attorney General of the U.S. So she was like a very dynamic woman. I'm just like really starting to get over my Freudian problems, and I really realized how dynamic she really was.
Yeah. Well, bro, you come from an interesting stock. That is for sure, right? And it's produced an interesting individual in Mr. Dale Edward Walsh. so,
Roger
um,
Dale Edward Allen Tompkins Walsh.
right, of course, you gotta get all of the names. And so here we are, both interesting characters in our own right, coming from our own source, and here now conspiring together. Oh, we're gonna do some Sid. All right, let's do it.
Yeah, let's see if Sid is as synchronistic as usual. Okay. When our minds are, this is Sidney Banks, the missing link. He's the inventor of the three principles. And in 30-second story, he was a Scottish welder in Canada who had a revelation from God, and basically, within 2 years, he was giving lectures to MIT and all sorts of big schools. But basically, he came up with the idea of mind, consciousness, and thought as a compound that defines all earthly psychology. When our minds are in unity with that which is good, then our thoughts no longer hold us prisoner to that which is evil. When you start to see the power of thought and its relationship to your way of observing life, you will better understand yourself and the world in which you live. To find that which you seek, discard all thought that is a separation between the spiritual and the physical world. The wise medicine men in the North American culture spoke of the world as one spirit, referring to the creator of all things as the Great Spirit. This was their way of explaining the oneness of life. Thought is a divine tool which is the link between you and your divine inheritance and is at the core of all psychological functioning. Thank you, Sid. Deep as ever.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, thoughts are what perpetuate our reality. Absolutely. And thoughts expressed through the voice, I think, are like even next level. But that's my
Yeah,
opinion. So let's be clear in what we're declaring and know that it is.
absolutely. You know who you are. You can always
Yeah.
say, I am. And you, so how would you define your I am, Andrew?
Well, I'm leaning into that Satnam. I am truth.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, for the
Yeah.
longest time, mine was "Hi, I'm God," but now it's "Hi, I'm Doc."
Yeah. I mean, I could be truth, I could be safety, I could be whatever resource I need, but
You could
truth
be
just
Drew
feels,
Christ.
yeah, I could be Drew Christ, right? I am. But yeah, those I am statements, when you're using them, be impeccable with those words, right? Really speak what is true and empowering and creates possibilities.
Right. So, let me see. Any other things that we need to wrap up before Christmas?
Nah, I guess we'll wish everyone a Merry Christ Mass. I think it's definitely taken on a bit of a different meaning for me. I'm still kind of processing what that is, but uh, but yeah, it is shifting. And whatever, yeah. So I think decide what Christmas is for you. You know, think
Right.
about it, because it doesn't have to be all the traditions and whatever it is. I mean, if how you can hold it however you like, and I think I'll hold it with an appreciation for the festivity and people's general excitement around it, but that I'm a little more neutral about the whole thing. It's like
Well,
every day can be Christ mass when you're Drew Christ, you know?
right, right. So I just wanted to say that my gift to the world is Jesus is going to show up at 6 St. John on Christmas morning.
Okay. All right. We're
So
looking forward to it.
Jesus will be back on Earth as part of the transition to dialing control.
All right, everyone. Well, I hope you're ready for that.
And
And
I think I'll leave with a poem, maybe? Maybe I
yeah, it
can
sounds
find a quick
perfect.
poem, a quick Christmas poem. Uh, okay, well, this might be relevant to dialing and Christmas and all sorts of things. It's called "Delusions Are Never Totally Eliminated." So, do you at deep level still believe in Santa Claus? Given how much I did toke, it's miracle I gave up smoke and all other illegal drugs, including my endless consumption of mugs of beer. I imbibed for decades, having enthusiastic sex with gorgeous maids. And I say in language plain, I am lord of my domain. Here at home, of the sane, which is city of the stars, which has its fair share of bars where I drink soda and cranberries, drunken loads I don't carry. So better to scope lovely dames, rarely discovering what are their names. But still at them I smile, and female friends I constantly dial, to be enchanted by serenic voices, smooth as engines of Rolls Royces, rolling over sacred streets of gold, where angels reside, I am told.
Aw. I keyed off that word enchantment. Jade brought that up the other day, and she's like, "That's my new spice of life. I want to be enchanted." and
Okay.
and there's the word chant right in there, right? And so part of that is like speaking your desire. So
Right, right.
I desire. I'm going to give the gift of enchantment. How about that? We'll add it to the list.
So, uh, yeah, so, do you have a word, for, 2026 going in? Do you have, I mean, a lot of people like come up with a word for the year before they enter the year. Do you have one?
Hmm.
Or
I
maybe,
mean, possibility is the first one that comes into my mind because it feels very limitless at this point, and
right,
so I'm open to the possibilities that can come from this frequency.
right. Yeah,
How about you?
oh no, I meant I think my word for last year was momentum, but I sort of feel the same way. Exponential momentum. Just like keep building the steam engine going down the tracks. Just picking up speed.
Absolutely, yeah. It's got some momentum for sure. We're
And
doing
it
it.
also
Yeah,
has moment in it too.
yeah. So
So
appropriate.
yeah,
Amazing. Well, we're gonna put a bow on this thing then.
sure. And everybody have Merry Christmas. We'll be back next time. And Andrew, Merry Christmas. Safe drive home to Colorado Spring from Austin. And you didn't tell us about the other two Dales yesterday.
Oh no, that's the I think I did. The first Dale was sad. The second Dale was me connecting with Dijon like one on one and kind of figuring, refining our
You
relationship.
didn't say that.
Okay. And then the third Dale was like the event, the party, the connection with these new amazing people. And they all had their unique energies and yeah, it just felt like a very full and filled with presents type day. Even, some of it was a little weird and some of it was a little amazing, and
Right.
made a delicious meal.
And you forgot about Cat too. We had like 2 hours with Cat too.
Yeah, exactly.
That was
Well, that
that was the middle deal, I guess.
well, I'm lumping that in the beginning because I felt very supported by you guys in that call as well, and community, right? That was the like, the the soul family that we're interacting with on a regular basis now, coming in to do the thing. But that's how I'd break up the Dales.
Okay. Okay, well, Merry Christmas, everybody.
Bye, guys. We love you.